So guys, welcome to this edition of Smart Talk. This in association with FinCard, we organize this one. So let me first introduce today's speaker, Mr. Tanvir Alam. So Mr. Tanvir Alam is the founder and CEO of FinCard, an innovative advisory platform that guides individuals to investment and retirement planning, then tax optimization, insurance analysis, and much more. With an impressive 18 years of experience as a financial advisor, he is currently heading FinCard, the groundbreaking platform empowering people to achieve their financial goals with confidence. Welcome, Tanvir sir.
Thank you.
So let me just stop sharing my screen so that people can see you. Okay, putting you on a spotlight. Cool. Over to you, Tanvir sir.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so let me start straight get into the budget discussion. See, let me narrate the incident. See, the BJP government, this budget was expected. The market was expecting it to be very different uh, compared to the last two budget. And the reason was very simple. This time, BJP did not get the clear majority, and hence there was a lot of apprehension. And the apprehension surrounded on various aspects. One was whether the policy continuity will remain or not. Given that this is a coalition government, will it be a populist budget? Third, what will be the impetus on infrastructure spending? I think yesterday's budget cleared everything out. So if you actually look at the budget, it uh, simply signaled a policy continuity perspective. Okay, and so this was a very welcome change. Not much of a populist measures, uh, and the thrust on infrastructure spend remains. So if you actually, if I take you back a little bit, post-COVID, the fiscal deficit went from 4.6% to 9.2%. Now, what this led to was this was during that fiscal stimulus was given, and this was across the world when this kind of a scenario happened. So thereafter, the Indian government uh, decided a fiscal consolidation path, and gradually they had started bringing down the fiscal deficit number down. Now, when you are actually doing fiscal consolidation, it is exactly opposite of fiscal stimulus. Okay, so in that time, what happened? This led to a slowdown in an economy in a way. So post COVID, the job creation was poor. Inadequate monsoon led to poor income of farmers, and further, the rise or increased inflation, this led to poor consumption growth. Now, you may then question, if there was a poor consumption growth, why are these FMCG companies posting higher profit? So most of the consumption company that you see have not grown by top line. They have actually expanded the margin to sustain their profitability. So now, if I have to break down the economy from an expenditure approach perspective and how GDP gets measured, which I have shared in my previous YouTube video, if you wish to go and check, where I had covered that the measuring GDP is a function of four factors, which is consumption, private sector spend, investment, government expenditure, and net export minus import. The consumption clearly actually came down. Private sector capacity utilization, given the level of 74%, also grew at a very muted growth level. Okay, and there were no not expanding capacities, no was building new plants and machinery, except there was some spend that was happening on sectors like electric vehicles, solar plants, and all the stuff. So, but to net it out, there was a slowdown on the second factor, which is private sector spending. It was only the government's expenditure which was holding the GDP growth. And the last quarter number was very concerning. So the government went into the budget with few concerns. Not only that, the consumption actually saw a very distinct pattern. The consumption in the urban area, actually people started consuming luxury good, but people in the rural were struggling to get the basic needs met. This led to an income inequality in a way. So the government went into the budget with say key challenges, which was like slower growth, consumption growth, poor investment spend, a poor job creation, and also addressing the income inequality, controlling inflation, keeping the pedal on infrastructure spend in an accelerated way, and yet maintaining fiscal prudence or fiscal consolidation, and also boosting the MSME. So it's a very holistic thing that the government had to do, and the budget in a way was pretty balanced, and it did a judicious thing by actually trying to increase consumption. And they set out 9 priorities which was there in the budget. The first being focus towards agriculture, which is increasing their productivity and resilience. The second, which was a very welcome move and it will help SMEs, companies, and also job creation, is employment and skilling. The third was HRD and social justice. Then the fourth one was MSMEs, for manufacturing and service industry. There were measures, urban development, uh, energy security, infrastructure, innovation, research and development, and then the next generation reforms. So there were 9 broad priorities set out, but I will actually touch upon only a few of them, and primarily more so in terms of employment, skilling, and manufacturing. Then I will cover a little bit on the tax part, and then I'll open the house for questions. So if I look at the skilling part, okay, so the government uh, made a very few important announcement. This would help both the employer and the employees. Okay, for the first timer, they have said we'll give a 1 month wage to new entrants in all formal sector in 3 installment amounting to 15,000. And this is expected to affect almost 2.1 crore youth. Again, linked to first employee, incentive to both employee and employer who register or to contribute for EPFO. Okay. The third is a benefit for employer. Government will reimburse EPFO contribution of employers up to 3,000 rupees per month for a period of 2 years for all new hirees. Now, these are very measures which basically encourages people or employer to employ on the formal sector or a formal way with EPFO. A lot of this employment happened where provident fund did not get deducted. So I think this will encourage to streamline, and this is done with the intent to ensure that the data comes to the mainstream, that the employment issue is getting taken care of. Now there is also further like facilities set for higher participation for women workforce. The loan up to 7.5 lakh with a guarantee from a government promoted fund. This will impact students. Also, the financial support for higher education, that is up to 10 lakh, is given with collateral free. And there is also skill development program which has been set. Okay, and there are about 1,000 industrial training institutions which has been set to ensure that not only employment, but the employability issue is also addressed in the country. So this is one very, very important move that possibly has happened. Now, on the manufacturing or MSME side, three, four major things which I want to cover out here is there was a credit guarantee scheme for SMEs in the manufacturing sector, which has come out. Mudra loan, the limit has enhanced from 20 lakh to 20 lakh from 10 lakh earlier. Uh, Credit support for MSME during stressful period. I think that's a very, very important point that is there. Okay. Further, there is going to be 12 industrial park under the National Industrial Corridor Development Program. So all this will ensure that the SMEs gets good support to build on their business. Okay. Further, the thrust on urban development, which is there, which obviously will help the growth. So net, what I've realized that this budget, in a way, did two things by putting little bit creating employment scenario for employment. And how would consumption get addressed? If you have higher employment, if people's earning increases, we have more jobs in place, farmers are taken care of. So there is an impetus on the agriculture side, both from productivity and resilience part, and also by giving direct tax cut. So what has happened? So the tax cut that has happened is also going to give meaningful resource to the people at large. So that they have only given the benefit to the new tax regime by expanding the tax bracket and also increasing the standard deduction. So, for example, the new tax bracket which is there, 0 to 3 lakh will be not taxable. 3 to 7 lakhs is taxed at 5%. 7 to 10 lakhs is about 10%. 10 to 12, 15%. 12 to 15, 20%. And above 15, 30%. So if you actually further, the standard deduction has been increased from 50 for salaried employees from 50 to 75,000. So technically, if you look at anybody earning 16 lakh, 17 lakh rupees, the net outgo will not be more than about a lakh and a half. Okay. So this will give a sizable surplus or opportunity to save for people. Now, what this is from the personal income tax perspective, but from an investment perspective, as we were anticipating that there could be some tinkering at the capital gains levels. So there has been some landmark change on the capital gains side. But before that, I would like to highlight a couple of change which has happened on the corporate side. The corporate tax rate on foreign companies got reduced to 40 to 35%. Angel tax got abolished. This will encourage the culture of startup and people will be happy to invest. Now, coming back to this entire thing, I will now relate to how investment will get affected. So, on the capital market side, the short term and long term gains has changed. Now, all listed equity and equity oriented mutual fund, the short term capital gains will be 20%, which was earlier 15%. The long term capital gain on financial and non financial assets also will attract 12.5%, okay, which was 10% in financial assets earlier. The STT has been increased in FNO. In fact, SEBI has been very, very strict about it, and they were actually worried about the speculation that is happening on STT, and that is the reason to dissuade. They have increased the STT rate to 0.02% from the earlier on FNO futures, and option is 0.1% respectively. third thing that they have made change is the income received on buyback of shares will be taxed in the hands of represent as margin at the marginal tax rate. What they are saying is earlier the buyback of shares were treated as either long-term capital gains and it was taxed at a lower rate. Now they are saying that the buyback of share, the gain will be deemed as dividend income and the person will be taxed at the marginal tax rate, whichever rate that applies to. Okay, so for long-term capital gains at 12.5% that they have done, the exemption limit has increased from 1 lakh to 1.25 lakh, meaning suppose if in a year, if you have a long-term capital gains tax of say hypothetically, say the tax is about 10.25 lakh rupees. So the first 1.25 lakh rupees will not get taxed. The remaining 9 lakh rupees, one has to pay 12.5% tax. Now, this is one. For all listed securities, the period of holding for long-term capital gain is 12 months. And for all other assets, it has been brought down to 24 months from 36 months. For example, real estate, unlisted, which was there for 36 months, all those shares will be, unlisted share will have 24 months, real estate will have also 24 months. Now, what is negative for the real estate, which is a big negative, is that indexation has been taken away from all the products. So the real estate gain that you have will be straight away a gain. Now, let me give you a perspective. Suppose you bought a property at 1 crore rupees, and after indexation, if the property value was say about 3 crore rupees, and you sold the property at 4 crores, earlier you had to give a tax only on 1 crore, 4 minus 3, and that was at 20%. Now it is 12.5%, but the tax will be 4 minus 1. It will be on 3 crore rupees at 12.5%. So the real estate industry will face a challenge. Now, what is the opportunity for investor? So instead of investing in real estate, the money will flow into REITs. So the REITs will get taxed at 12.5%, and the new LTCG rule will apply there. So the period will go to 24 months, and the REIT will get taxed at, REIT and InvITs will get taxed at 12.5%. So I think there will be a move where people will be preferring REITs over real estate. I think this is a very big change that has happened in the budget. Further, there are a lot of other things that has happened. For example, variable capital structure, which is the ease of doing business, which has improved a little bit. Now, I think one more very important factor which one should be noticing out here is that in the budget, the finance minister categorically said that we will follow the path of fiscal consolidation, and they are aiming that the fiscal deficit for FY26 will be at a 4.1%. And she categorically mentioned that we will ensure that over a period of time, our dependency on borrowing to fund the deficit goes to negligible level. Now, in today's time, the biggest borrower is the government of India. And if there is a demand for money, that is why the interest rate is held up. If in the future, if your biggest borrower is not borrowing money and inflation is also under control, then it is inevitable that the interest rate in the economy will keep going down. And what I foresee that in times to come, our interest rate will go down to a very low level. in line with all the developed economies that we see. So what I envisage is that you will have certain products which we could use to lock in the current high interest rate regime. Now, if you look at, there was a time not very far in 2000 only when your RBI bond was available at 12% tax free. Corporates were borrowing at about 14%. Now, in those today's time, those are all history. So my feeling is this high interest rate that we are holding right now will also go down in times to come. So from investment perspective, it would make the biggest risk that I see out here is the reinvestment risk. Today, if you're investing in 7% deposit, it'll come to 5%, 4%, and 3%. So if by all means, you will not invest all asset on all your money in equity. So there will be an asset allocation. So from an equity market perspective, we remain status quo. We feel that the policy continuity has added to the uh, to the directional which the equity market was looking for, and hence you have seen, despite a very big move on capital tax, capital gains tax, the market is held that level. What I also believe that in times to come, all these tax benefit capital gains will sooner or later go away. So we have to live in an environment where whatever we earn, we may have to pay tax. But I think overall, the overall tax might come down by that time. So from equity market perspective, we remain status quo. We focus on, say, investing in large cap at this point of time, or a flexi cap kind of a fund. Mid and small cap, we will have limited allocation. If somebody who's conservative, we build the portfolio around BAF at this point of time, balanced advantage fund, that will be a great way to invest. And as an alternative investment, I think a product like PMS and all will have difficulty in running at this point of time, given the new tax structure. So what is more advisable is that you look at unlisted, you look at REIT, those are an investment option to start with. In the fixed income side, I would strongly recommend that one should look at locking return in some of the good quality guaranteed income product of insurance. This will allow you to hold your base investment rate of the asset allocation at this current level for a very long period of time. Or alternatively, what one could do is also buy, say, a 20, 30-year government bonds at this elevated interest rate. So if the interest rate goes down tomorrow, you're not worried because you're locked in your interest rate at 30 for 30 years or 25 years. So these are the stance that one should take at this point of time. So both from debt and equity perspective. And I think uh, India is structurally in the best time one could envisage. And why do I say that? The fiscal situation or the macroeconomic condition of the government is absolutely spot on, very beautiful. We have low fiscal deficit. We are, if we follow this part, I will not be surprised that India will be eligible for a re-rating upwards. So that's a very positive sign. India is one country which will be offering this kind of a growth in times to come. The second thing, the corporate balance sheet. The corporate balance sheet today is far more healthier. The debt on the balance sheet is low. This will allow a lot of headroom for them to borrow and grow at an aggressive pace. The government is committed towards actually doing infrastructure spend in a way, not doing any frivolous activities or spending the money in non-productive asset. They are spending the money in productive assets that will help create job, that will help create opportunity for corporate, that will help to generate return on those assets. So that's a beautiful thing that one is doing. The fourth and important, which is the also an advantage, and if we don't leverage it, it will become a disadvantage, is the population that we have. Till now, what you see is only a limited people portion of the entire economy is into workforce. If I have to put the number of people between 25 and 65 at this point of time is 38% of the population. But people who are sitting, who are youth or who are children right now between 0 and 24, India accounts for almost 60% of the population. Okay, so there's a sizable population which is yet to come into the workforce, and with they coming in place, and the capita per capita income that is currently at about $22,000 is expected to move to $4,000 in not a very long term period, in about 6 years from now. The report suggests that the per capita income of India, each Indians from 2000 will move to $4,000 by 2030. And if this all this comes into play, India will be the Sone ki Chidiya once again. Okay. I think given that backdrop, I would like to be committed to the Indian stock market, and I would like to aggressively invest to take leverage of the growth that lies ahead. Now, having said that, the valuation is not very cheap, except for large cap. It's fair value. So you have to invest very prudently. Don't jump blindly into the market and burn your fingers. So make a very well informed decision in trying to invest your money, hard-earned money. As I said, for fixed income, you have a choice of government security or insurance company, whichever you feel is helping your cause or purpose for ensuring that you do not encounter the reinvestment risk in about 2 to 3 years time from now. So this is all I have to say. I will be happy to take question.
Guys, you can use, yes, Nishan Patel. You can raise, either you can raise your hand so that I can unmute you, or you can put your questions in a chat box. So there is a first hand raise by Nishan Patel. So let me allow your mic, Nishan. Nishan, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yeah, hi. Hi,
Hi.
Mr. Tanvir.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, you said something about alternative to real estate gain. So I'm not clear on that. You said something about rates.
Reach. So okay, sorry, my apology. I should have used the full word, not the acronym. My apologies for that. Basically, real estate, you invest via buying real estate directly. And now, because the new tax regime, and that is why you'll see real estate stock getting beaten. So what will happen is, instead of real estate stock, real estate directly buying directly, you can invest in real estate investment trust. There is an investment trust, like a mutual fund. You invest in investment trust, they invest in the real estate. But when you sell, when your NAV of a REIT goes up, the gain that you pay a tax on is 12.5%.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So next, yes, Adil. Adil, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. So actually, I have a question. So going forward, what will be the best to like go for a old tax regime or new tax regime? Because might be government in future discontinue the old tax regime. Is a possibility of that?
See, all this signal is moving to the new tax regime. In fact, there is a proposal of reviewing the entire Income Tax Act in this one. They want to revise that. And my feeling is that they will do away with all the rebate and all, and they will only have the new tax regime in times to come. In this tax filing also, if you have not declared specifically before, if not have filled a form that you want to move with the old tax regime, by default you'll have to go under new tax regime.
So is there a possibility to change in future after a year or something to go again old tax regime?
No.
But if we check the like slab structure, the government which is like currently mentioned, so above 12 lakhs they have kept the same calculations, right?
Correct.
Which
See,
ideally
what
should
I'm
be
trying
moved to
to
1 lakh.
what I'm trying to tell you, you have an option right now. You asked me if in future. In future, my anticipation is that the government will keep the entire income tax very, very clean, no rebate given. You earn and pay this much tax. They might keep increasing slabs. If you look at the current slab that they have done, there was an income equality. People who had the higher slab were earning more. People at the bottom were actually going down because of high inflation and food cost. Okay, so to what they have done, they have given you income tax benefit at the lower end of the slab. The upper end from 15 lakh and above has remained same. So there will be a very calculated move which will happen in times to come. Whether the slab will move down, if more people start paying tax, it's very difficult to judge. Now, if you are asking from today's perspective, it has to be calculated whether you fit the old tax regime or the new tax regime. That calculation has to be done based on your income, and we have to arrive at the situation which one suits you best, and you should go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Second one is, let me
Naga.
unmute. Oh, yes. Naga Sesuvati, yes. Yes. So, I beg your pardon if I pronounce your name. So, Naga Sesuvati, can you please unmute yourself?
Sorry, yeah. I think Priyank asked the question also here in the chat. As
Okay.
customs on gold are going down, is that a good option in current situation? See, lower custom duty will bring down the gold prices for sure. Okay, but that is only from Indian price point perspective. Globally, the gold prices gets traded based on global prices. The global prices will move up and down. And gold, we have seen earlier, has moved up rapidly ahead. And I see that there could be increased demand for gold. But having said that, there will be always an up and down in gold price movement. So we have seen in the past, post 2011, the gold went to almost $2,000. It came back to almost $1,100 per ounce, and then again it was moved to almost $2,400 per ounce. So there will be an up and down in gold prices also, like you have seen in equity. But because rupees depreciates every year, you don't see that kind of volatility or upswing in the Indian market. So if you're wanting to invest in gold as an asset class, you can buy gold and keep. But as I said, gold as an asset in the entire asset allocation. जब आप investment करते हैं, you have to have equity fund, you have to have debt, you have to have gold. So you can have real estate. So gold has to be between a small portion between 5 and 10%, not more than that. That's an ideal recommendation.
Okay, so there is one question, yes.
MSME services in the budget. Yeah, there are a lot of things for that. So, for example, I said Mudra loan from 10 to 20 lakh is got increased. The credit guarantee scheme for an SME in the manufacturing sector has come. There is so there will be on the services side. Uh, uh, Not much on the services side, majority on the manufacturing side, which has come because the Make in India initiative, which is coming on, that's there. But if you ask from service perspective, the Skill India program is also a major initiative which will help people get employment, and employability will be addressed. So those training institute center course content and design aligned to skill industry perspective. The internship with the top 500 companies, I think will benefit the service industry. For example, the hiring of the entire workforce by 500 people, 500 top 500 company for internship, and that period for a 12 months period all this will come from HR perspective, HR and all. I think service industry will have their share.
I hope that answers your question. Yes, thank you, thank you. So there are some questions in a question answer section. So I'll read one by one. The first question is, can we expect proficient employment opportunities and growth in the job market with the new budget regime?
I think it was the government addressed beautifully, because the job creation and employability was both an issue. And so they have taken multiple measures to address that issue. And I think they have done a fair job. For example, if you ask me, the entire initiative to for the skill development program that is there. For example, let me give you a few of them. For example, the internship program that they have got with companies, new joinee, the benefit that they're giving corporate people for if they get registered in EPFO, the 3,000 per month will reimburse to the employer. There is an incentive for first-time employee joining. Okay, and the incentive for both employee and employer for EPFO contribution for a specified skill, of course, will be for 4 years. Okay, one-time wage new entrants in all formal sector get 15,000 rupees. So I think these are a lot of initiative that the government is taking, which will help for job creation. Okay, education, financial support, facility for women of workforce. Okay, for setting up working women hostel in collaboration with industry and establishing creche. These are all a welcome move. There is a subvention on education loan up to 3%. So these are all a very, very good move, which will help in job creation as well as this.
Okay, so we'll move towards the next question. There is one question. Is it necessary to file a return if a salary income ranges in between 3 to 7%? I guess that user must have miscommunicated, or 3 to 7 lakhs, I guess it was the communication. So is it necessary to file a return? If so,
I would strongly recommend that everybody file income tax return. See, your PAN number, when you get employed, you get PAN number, you have EPFO, you have Aadhaar, everything gets linked. Okay, and I think filing PAN, it should not be a choice. There is, if you don't file a PAN, then there is a income tax return there up to income. There is a penalty for not filing. I think forget about penalty, for creating your own track record, for better CIBIL score tracking, for better credit worthiness, for better ensuring that you are able to raise loan in future. Filing of income tax return should be taken up very seriously, and it should become a mandatory affair.
okay. So the next question is from Purnima. Please explain about changes in EPFO for employees and employers. Changes in EPFO.
There is no change for existing EPFO or employer for existing people. What they have done is basically they are trying to get people enrolled in the mainstream for mainstream job. Say a lot of people get employment, but they don't have PF. You would have seen a lot of company having employees, but they don't have PF. They don't deduct PF. So they are trying to get those people in the mainstream where EPFO or employee provident funds get deducted. So from that perspective, they had made three major changes, three broad category, where they are giving 1 month wage for all new entrants. They are getting benefit to both incentive to both employer and employee for contributing towards EPF, and also giving reimbursing the employer uh, uh, the EPFO up to 3,000 rupees per month for all new hires. So these are big initiative. For example, as a company, when I hire today and is a first time employer, so the guy gets a new wage of 15,000 rupees for 3 months by the government, plus for up to 3,000 rupees PF that I contribute on his behalf for a period of 2 years for all new hires, that get reimbursed to me. So per employee, 36,000 rupees into 72,000 rupees is where I'll get 2 years. It's a payback to me. So this will encourage people to hire them on the proper role. Okay, and if that happens, you will see increased employment. In a way, my cost per hiring employee reduces by 36,000 rupees. But this is for people having a salary of 1 lakh. So that is where the catch is. So hence, this is the initiative that will help in job creation. Plus, then there are a lot of other initiatives which indirectly create job creation, which is helping the infrastructure development and ensuring private sector spend, urban development. All this will help create jobs.
Okay, so we'll move towards the next question. So what are the benefits of budget 2024 to salaried employees?
So one, the standard deduction for all salaried employees has moved from 50 to 75. That is one part. The new income tax the slabs have increased. It was earlier less, it has got increased. So effectively, if you look at each one will be saving a minimum of 17,500 rupees, and it can even go higher for higher people, higher in the higher income bracket. So this is one. So this is a welcome move, and this is so the consumption will go up in two ways. One, they are trying to cut the tax. So it will leave you with a higher amount of savings in your hand. If the higher amount of saving will increase consumption. So that's the whole intent and idea. And that's how the salaried people will get benefited.
So, sir, this increase in this, standard deduction, is it applicable to both old and new, or is it only for the new
No,
regime?
new.
Only for new regime. Okay, got it. So another question, since the government is focusing more on new tax regime, what is the benefit of staying back in old tax regime?
See, it is individual. You will just calculate what we have realized. For all higher tax bracket people, it makes sense to move to the new one. It is only in some cases when you are in a lower tax bracket and you have a substantial amount of saving. If you have say 4.5 lakh worth of savings, say 2 lakh rupees, you are taking interest on home loan, plus you have 1 lakh 50,000 ATC, 50,000 for NPS, CCD that you have. So 4 lakh there, plus mediclaim and all. And on top of that, you've got HRA and all. So all those things, if you have, and you're on a lower salary bracket, then it would make sense to go for your old tax regime. But if you don't have all those savings and investment, then it makes sense to go for the new tax regime.
Let me see if in question answer any other. Okay. Okay, yes. So there is one question. In the recent budget, the angel tax has been eliminated. What will the significant benefit of startup and other businesses?
Oh, that's very welcoming. In fact, see, today it will encourage people to invest in startup. So today, if I angel tax is abolished and I'm an angel investor and I'm funding a startup at the early stage, then obviously, and my income is tax free. So that's the very big welcome move. So what is government trying to do? Let me give you a hint. One, they are trying to create job, but they know they only cannot create jobs alone. So one is skill, and they're pushing people to become entrepreneur. Okay, so that's why they are moving that, and a lot of skill development program is aimed at increasing employability and not only employment. Okay, and further, this creating an ecosystem where you get funding easily for your startup, and if they are not taxed, this will help them a lot of people to get into angel investing. Okay, there's a very true question. Was this tax slab changes affecting? I think most of the tax changes that is going to happen is going to happen from 1st October, except for my feeling capital gains. Capital gains is effective 23rd July only. So the capital gains, you cannot go and sell tomorrow and say long-term capital gain there. So I think except for that, most of the tax applicable will be from 1st October. There are furthermore clarification yet to come, but this is the basic clarification that's come now.
So there was one question, can we expect growth and development in the job market for experienced employees apart from freshers?
See, okay, let me give you a perspective on how the job market works. Okay, as I said, the GTV is a function of four things if you look at consumption. So if there's a consumption growth happening, then only the capacity utilization of companies will go up. And it is only when the capacity utilization goes up to 83, 84, 85% that the companies think of putting up capacities. Okay, when they put up more capacity, they will create more jobs. So this is where we stand as of now. We are at about 74. So with increased consumption, rural India getting more money by way of the agricultural spend that has happened, lower income tax, plus also a good monsoon expected, we feel that this should go up in time to come. With this happening, you will see that the experienced people will also see in the job revival market. But having said that, there was an era where I remember my father or father-in-law and my brother-in-law, he joined the first company and he's going to retire from that company. But now times have changed. Okay, so you have to keep upskilling yourself to ensure that you are uh, capable and competent. This would be my advice at this point of time. That's another factor which will decide your employability and growth in the market. What
So there
will
is
be the
one.
best? Uh, yeah, go
Okay, so
ahead,
there is
Gaurav.
one question in the question answer. What are the investment options for long-term benefit that attract minimum to zero tax other than FD and bank deposits, considering no risk or to minimum risk?
See, FD and bank deposits are taxed at your marginal rate. If you're in a higher tax bracket, you have to pay full tax. Okay, if you're not paying any tax, then it's okay for you. So advisable is equity mutual fund for a very long term period. If you're investing for a period of about 7, 8, 9 years, 10 years, beautiful product to invest. You would have created significant wealth if you actually invested many years back. And the way India is positioned in long times, it will be further creating a lot of wealth for people. So I think equity mutual fund over long term period. If you're medium term, you can go for balanced advantage fund. If you're afraid and you still want a 675 or there about tax free return, you can invest up to 5 lakh rupees in guaranteed income plan of insurance schemes that will guarantee you return up to almost 675 7% tax free return depending upon the tenure that you are investing for. So all those products are available in the market that you can invest in.
Okay. So there's another question by Murli. Yes. Why the government was taken harsh call on traders by increasing STT tax?
The SEBI has been very much against the traders because what they have got, they have increased complaint that 90%, rather more than 90% of the people trading are losing money. Okay. And some of them have lost their hard earned money. Some people who had kept their money for buying a house, they tried to speculate and they lost money. So the government has been taking lot of measures, and this is one of them only. Okay. So they have increased the STT on FNO just to discourage normal people from investing.
I guess there are no more questions. Any other question? No, I guess. So sir, if there are any question or if people wants to reach out to you for any further guidance, if you can share some contact details, it will be a great help for us.
So,
Okay.
we, in fact, I thought I'll have my colleague, but uh, he was supposed to just tell you something on this, but let me come. We are a wealth management firm, and our focus is not to sell product. Our focus is to help people achieve their life goal. Okay, and we have two sets of product, one for individuals and one for corporate. Individuals, we focus on helping you achieve a life goal, whether it's achieving your, uh, say, buying a buying a property for a house, buying a car, going on a vacation, planning for your financial freedom, or getting married, children education, children marriage, whatever be your goals, we work towards that. That's one part of that. We first derive a goal and ensure which product is best suitable based on your risk appetite and time horizon of the goal to ensure that you reach your goal safely and surely. So the purpose of the company is to help people achieve the life goal. That's on the other part. So helping also corporate achieve their aspiration and dream is what we work for. And how do we help corporate? We help them raise money by way of equity and debt, more so debt, okay, loans, both secured, unsecured loans. We help people roll. We help. We have product that will help people retain employees, and that by way of group health insurance policy, corporate NPS product, or even investment linked employee linked investment that we do, so that you retain employee for a long term period. Everybody is not excited by stock option, and a lot of promoters do not want to give also stock options. So we help promoters retain key employees with those investments. And last, many a times what happens as a promoter, this is my own humble thing which I know, we create value in the company, and God forbid something happens on a bad cycle, the entire value gets destroyed. How do you segregate personal and professional wealth? Is we expertise on. So we are happy to share if you have any of those queries or interest. We'll be happy to address or help you out. Do everything which is related to you, your own wealth, and your employees' wealth.
So best way to reach out to you is like via your website, right? So
Yes,
www.fincard.com.
yes, they can register and we can help them.
I guess we can take one last question. What will be the best saving plans with the new budget regime?
What will be the best? I actually address that question where I think if you are investing, you can choose from various products, but don't just buy a product. I would rather say get a solution, get a financial plan which is customized to your requirement. Okay, which basically tells you, see what happens is just because each individual is different, their financial situation are different, their risk appetite are different. So it is best to get a financial plan and then uh, decide the product. For example, जब हम घर बनाते हैं पहले घर का ब्लूप्रिंट निकालते हैं, we have a blueprint of the house and then we construct. Old school of thought was we never used to go to an architecture, we used to get the house built like this. So the old way is very times have changed, so we'll not get optimum result by getting the old way. The new way is get the architecture blueprint and then start building your house. So first get a financial plan, and the financial plan will tell you which product is best suitable for you. So, but if you still want a reply on that, for a long-term perspective, it is best suited for equity mutual fund. For a short term, you can have fixed deposit product. For a medium term, you can have a balance.
Right. So the first rule of personal finance, it is a personal finance, right? People
Yes,
often forget that it is the personal finance. Cool. I guess there are no more questions in the chat box. Yes, thank you, Shilpi. Yes, Tanvi sir, we can then wind up with any note further, any last minute note, like you want to give summarize or give a message to all the
So I
participants
think
out here.
what I want to say is uh, government is directing us to invest and invest not only for your immediate but a long-term future for retirement and all those things, because we don't have social security in the country. And I will only like to say one thing, that the quality of your life does not necessarily depend on how much you earn, on how well you save. It will depend on how well you invest. So with that, I would like to end, and please invest your hard-earned money. We all like to consume. Consumption makes us happy. Investing is boring, but at times boring us gives us good result. Similar to like we don't like exercising, we like to eat junk, don't like to eat healthy, but healthy eating is also going to help us. So do both, balance your life, and don't make it otherwise, only one-sided.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys for joining the session. We'll meet you in the next edition of Smart Talk. Thank you, Tanvi sir.
Thank you.